everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Detective Comics, issue number 5. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, with the start of issue number 5 is the start of a new story arc in Detective Comics. Although, despite the fact it's a new story arc, many of the elements that Tony Daniel established in the previous 4 issues is going to transition over into this. Most notably is what's going on with the Joker's face. Now, if you remember from issue number 1, the Joker was captured by Batman and then the doll maker removed his face. Now, in Arkham Asylum, they still have the face there. And it's like frozen and preserved, which is really kind of sketchy. And people are led to believe that the Joker died. We see this in previous issues of Detective Comic, and we also see this in Suicide Squad, where Harley Quinn finds out about this. Because of this all going down with the Joker, because his face has been removed and people think he's been dead, there is basically a shrine being made to him. A lot of big Joker supporters are coming to Arkham Asylum to show their respect and give their support to Joker. Very vocal in the fact that they dislike Batman, but they support the Joker. Now, this is only touched upon a bit in this issue, but it's still a story element from the previous 4 issues that is carrying over, which makes me think that something big is going to go down with this. It was hinted that it was going to go down in Suicide Squad, but I think it's more or less going to go down in Detective Comics. The big meat and bone of this story, the main story is that there is a killer on the loose, and this killer dressed up in a Joker-like disguise, but he has no affiliation at all with the Joker. And he kills off some no-name, low-level criminals and then scurries away. However, while Batman is pursuing him, because Batman was actually unable to stop him, he finds out a few clues that leads him in the direction of the Penguin. The story leaves off on a little bit of a cliffhanger with the Penguin showing a bit of an interest in Miss Rivers, the journalist who seems to have a nose for trouble. This also has a backup story to it. It's actually a short first story and then a backup story, which deals with a young kid that happened to get his hands on some jewelry and starts to play in a high-end casino game. Although it's not in a casino, it's actually with a bunch of mobsters. And this involves 2 big names in the Batman universe, a villain and an ally of Batman. And one villain who I'm particularly happy to see in the new DCU. So, the question is what involvement does Penguin have with this killer that is stealing stuff from mobsters? Will the Joker's face play into some bigger story arc? And also, the new returning villain of Batman. What exactly does he have in store for our Dark Knight? Just gonna have to wait and see. So, let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. First and foremost is that I like Tony Daniel's art, and the thing is I comment this always in the Detective Comic review, but some people actually say that his art hasn't been as good as lately, but I think it's just as good. The only problem I have with it is he makes Batman's ears really short. I'm not a fan of the really big Batman ears, but I'm not the fan of the really short Batman ears. Good size is what matters. I also like the fact that the Joker stuff is transitioning over and it's actually carrying over, and it's like we're building up something bigger, which is good. I'm happy about that. I like this assassin, this killer, because he delivers a challenge to Batman. See, the thing is a lot of writers have the perception that there's 2 kinds of Batmans. Well, there's a lot of kinds of Batmans, but when it comes down to Batman and skill, there's 2 kinds. There is the naive young Batman, and then there is the God Batman, which is the young naive Batman who's capable but can make mistakes. And then there's the God Batman that has an answer for everything whenever the answer is needed. And this is not necessarily always the best approach to write Batman, because see, the thing is how can you write Batman to be so skilled and so knowledgeable and so smart and still give him a challenge? Well, the easy answer that they try to do is that they make Batman younger and less capable and do stories then. However, the easy way to get around this, other than that, is just make more enemies that are capable to go up against Batman. That Nobody character that's in the Batman and Robin comic is a very capable villain for Batman. He may not be able to fight Batman hand-to-hand combat, but he can give Batman a run for his money. He's decisive and he's a strategist. He's smart. He can give Batman a challenge. This assassin guy, while very little is known about him, he at least seems to be able to get Batman a run for his money. He's able to kill someone on Batman's watch while Batman is actually there and is able to get away from the Dark Knight. Not necessarily the most skilled individual, but skilled enough that he can get away from Batman. And despite the fact that I didn't really care for the fact that there was a backup story to this, I actually did like the backup story. It was a slower paced story, but that's fine because slower paced stories can be fun. The art was very dark and gritty, and it worked well for the story, and the reveal at the end was very nice. Bad. Well, as I was just stating, I really didn't care for the fact that there was a backup story. Despite how good the backup story must have been, it really stops the momentum of the first story, which is disappointing because I was getting into it, especially seeing it involves the Penguin. Now, I'm actually a big fan of the classic Batman villains as much as I'm a fan of bringing in new Batman villains. And one of the Batman villains that has been giving, I don't know, less of a push than others is the Penguin. People like the Penguin and Riddler and Mr. Freeze are characters that I love and that I've grown up with, but really haven't been utilized too much. And with stories like Penguin, Pain and Prejudice, and then him showing up in Detective Comics, and even if we go back to Paul Dini utilizing him in his detective runs, I'm happy to see the Penguin kind of getting a resurgence. So it kind of upset me where we get only one panel of the Penguin in this, and the momentum is stopped with the Penguin, and it's just like, what's going on? Second thing is that although very little of the Penguin is shown in this, they seem to make the Penguin come off a little bit more comical and less psychological of a villain than he's being portrayed in other comics. Most notably is right over here is Penguin, Pain and Prejudice, which has been one of the better comics from the DC universe that has come out. Really good comic, and it's really going in depth, showing the levels and layers to the Penguin. However, we go into Detective Comic, and again, we only get one panel of him, but already I have a feeling that he's coming off as kind of a cliche supervillain kind of person. I could be completely wrong. Tony Daniel can really turn me around and say, hey, Andrew, you had you jumped the gun. You shouldn't have thought that. I have a plan for Penguin. And that's all well and good. But for right now, this is the feeling that I'm getting for Penguin. I'm not necessarily caring for it. Last thing is Miss Rivers, the journalist, one of the many love interests that apparently Bruce has. A good character, but I don't feel her yet. I don't feel like she's being utilized to her maximum potential. And when I say good character, I don't mean developed character. I just mean that she has a lot of potential and she's not being utilized for the potential. So I would like to see more from Miss Rivers because I'm actually interested in her. I really want to see where they go with this character. Maybe make her a permanent recurring character on Batman. We'll just have to see. But that's another bad. On a whole, whether or not you should get it. If I had to give a rating out of this comic, I would give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's a pretty good start to what could be a decent story, and the backup issue is actually fun. However, the problem is that the momentum is stopped, and we get very little for what we actually want. So, on a whole, it was good. Could be better, but I see promise in the story arc. I'm curious to see if they're actually going to continue doing backup stories to Detective Comics, because they did a backup story this month to Action Comics, but I'll get into that a little bit later. So, yes, Detective Comics, 3 out of 5 stars, good, not momentously amazing, but it's good. This is Andrew saying, peace out for now.